I'm Ann Dorn. I am a sergeant with the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. I'm over the wellness. I'm the wellness coordinator. I do wellness for mental health for police officers. And I am the widow of Captain David Dorn.
A little bit about last summer.
Wow, last summer. It was pretty stressful for myself and officers. David was retired at home, so I was going to work a lot. I was putting programs together and helping officers with the stress of just everyday life and work. People were not appreciating the police. People were not respecting the police. And then June 1st happened. Some protests were organized and they came into the city. There was a lot of marches during the day. We were all working 12-hour shifts. We'd been working 12-hour shifts. And the protests started getting a little rowdy. I was at headquarters. I was due to get off at 8 o'clock, and it was right at 8 o'clock. And I told my boss, hey, I'm leaving. I don't want to get caught down here because my car will be blocked in. And he's like, okay. So I leave, but I'm listening the whole time. I never turned my radio off. So I'm listening as it just kept growing and getting worse. At one point, I just turned everything off, just to relax a little bit. Me and Dave were joking around. He had eaten dinner. I was going to bed because I had to be up, in the morning. And when I go to bed early, he goes to the basement so he doesn't disturb me. And I went on to bed, and I guess about 11 or 12, I got a phone call that 4 officers had been shot. They told me it was, they were all going to survive. They were stable. It was all as what we consider minor gunshot wounds, but no gunshot wound is minor. I turned the TV on shortly to watch as they're burning down 7-Eleven, and I knew it was getting bad. And I told Dave, hey, it's getting bad out there. 4 officers have been shot. He's like, are they okay? And I told him everything. And he's like, okay. He goes, what do you need to do? I said, I'll probably get up a little earlier and head in. And he's like, all right. That was his last conversation. He went back downstairs. I went back to bed. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, somebody's knocking on my door. And I'm sound asleep. And David's supposed to be in the house. I'm yelling for him to answer the door. He's in the house. He's supposed to answer the door. He's not answering the door. So being a typical police officer, I grab my gun because he was knocking on my door at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I go to the door and answer it. And the chief's standing there. And I'm not putting it together. I'm not putting the basement doors closed. He never closes the basement door when he's down there. Basement door's closed, and the alarm was set. And I'm like, something's not right. But I couldn't put it all together. I guess I was still asleep. My brain just wasn't processing it. The first thing I asked him is, where's Dave? Why isn't he answering the door?
For 38 years, David Dorn was a police officer in the city of St. Louis.
David Dorn.
Captain Dorn.
Police Captain David Dorn.
David Dorn.
The Captain Dorn.
David Dorn in his very last moments on Earth.
And David Dorn was shot to death.
He's dead now. He was murdered last night by the mob. His killing was streamed live on Facebook.
He said, come on, honey, we got to talk. And he brought me back in the house. He took my gun or somebody, because I had my gun in my hand. They took it from me. And that's when he told me that David had been murdered. That was really hard for me. Dave never left the house without telling me. And he left that night, or that morning, without telling me. Knowing what was going on that night, I wouldn't have let him go. Or I would have gone with him. And then where would we be? So that's a little hard there. But when you ask a police officer about Dave, very loyal, very hardworking. If they were doing something, he was right there with them. He wasn't just a commander from a desk. He was out on the street with the officers. He was a cop's cop, exactly. But when he got excited, or he was getting ready to get into a fight, or something happened, his voice would go up like 12 octaves. And he would get so excited that everybody knew that was Captain Dorn getting ready to get into a fight. If he got on the radio and his voice was really high up octaves, or he was cursing on the radio, everybody went running to his aid because they knew if it was them, he'd be right there with them.
What's the aftermath of that like?
Yeah, being on the other side now as a wife and not law enforcement officer, yeah, it's kind of hard to take my own advice. You know, I give a lot of advice to officers who are injured and are just traumatized by things, and officers get trauma every day. I mean, I've been through it. Yeah, we draw our guns on a regular basis. You know, we're a very violent city. We don't know what we're encountering on a regular basis. I think it's a shame. I think that criminals are being martyrized. They're being put up on a pedestal, and policemen are being, you know, villainized. And it was never that way. Policemen were always supposed to be kids' heroes, and policemen were, you go to a policeman if you need help, you go to a policeman if you're lost. And now you have people idolizing criminals, and criminals who live and die by the crimes they commit. Policemen don't want to kill anybody. We don't want to take a life. We're put in those positions when a criminal chooses to not obey the law, and they point a weapon at us, or they resist and they fight, and police officers have no other choice.
Tell me a little bit about how you met Eric Greitens.
Oh my gosh, Eric Greitens. How did I meet Eric Greitens? I met him prior to all of this, just being the governor. He'd come around the police station a lot. He'd come around, you know, seeing everybody. We didn't become real familiar with each other until after my husband passed. And he reached out to me, offering his condolences, offering any services he could. He's been constant since Davis died, calling me, checking on me, sending me little messages, just offering his support no matter what. We had an opportunity to spend a day together last year, and it was really nice. We just got to sit around and talk and share stories, his stories, my stories, and it was just really nice getting to know him. And we've just become friends. It's like we're old friends that are catching up after being away for many years. Police officers love Eric Greitens. He understands what we do. He's not afraid to come right on the front lines with us. He talks to us. He'll sit down and talk to us, just like human beings. You know, spend time with us to find out what our concerns are. You know, meet us, meet our families, listen. You know, a lot of politicians want to come in and shake hands, and you know, they'll listen some. You know, I've met a few that really do listen, but Eric really is genuine when it comes to that. He wants to know our concerns, and he wants to help us. He has the warrior mindset that we all have. So, you know, he fits in really well with us, and he's one of us. I've endorsed Eric Greitens for the U.S. Senate because I believe he's going to make some change. He's a very powerful proponent in a lot of things. He's not afraid to back down. When he gets his mindset on something, I mean, he makes sure he has his ducks in a row, and he's researched what he's pushing, and he doesn't stop. And I hate to analogize it like this, but he's like a pit bull when he gets it. You know, he runs with it, and he's very passionate, and that passion comes through. And it's more for the little man. He's not out there for people to make millions of dollars. He wants the common, everyday working person to live comfortably and have the rights that they deserve, and have the families, you know, be able to support their families. I'm Ann Dorn, and I support Eric Greitens for U.S. Senate.